What up? What up? What? I should have had this mic out already before I even went live. But it's not going to stop me from still getting it together. What's going on, y'all? Talk to me. Talk to me. Tell me your name. Y'all know I was doing the William Hung. Was it William Wong? William Hung? What's up, you all? Just wait for some more for you all to come in because this is live. You said tapping in from work? What's going on? If you're coming in, can you like this video? It'll get more people into the conversation, even though the caption that I put up, it's what it is, right? What else can we do? What up, y'all? Good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. As if this isn't ever more obvious, I have a mic on. I don't care. I do not care. What's going on? Let's have a conversation. So what are your thoughts? Let me see. Hold on. Let me fix this. Bow. How does it sound? Can you still hear me? You said you've been waiting on me to talk about this. Can you still hear me? Check. I'm just checking the mic. Mic check, mic check. It should just be straight because it's right into the iPhone. You can still hear me. Okay, cool. Yeah, so can you all type the I got 14 people watching. Can you, as of right now, of course it would be more, but can you hit the like button, please, if it's possible? Please, please, please. That'll get more people to the conversation besides the caption itself. Oh, napkin. Thanks. That's what I needed. What I needed. You said sounds far a bit. I don't. Does it sound far? Hello? Do I sound far? How do I sound? I didn't. There's no way to check because I can't hear myself. I mean, I guess I could. Am I losing weight? Yeah. That's what happens when you work out. Or Ozempic. Like people keep accusing me. People keep accusing me of being on Ozempic. I'm like, all these videos I post of me working out, and I got to be on Ozempic. All right, fine. I'm on Ozempic, right? No, I'm working out. Thank you, Hebrew Awakening. Appreciate that. Without the mic was much clearer. Well, damn. Let me take the mic out then. Is this much clearer? I don't know. I'm trying. So what are you? Okay, I got 45 people watching. Can you all tap the like button, please? I almost don't want to take this out. Because then somebody will say, well, that was just his and not everybody else's. Oh, it is more clear. All right. 66 people. I sound perfect. All right, cool. 66 people watching and 4 likes. Can we get some more likes, please? And the reason why I'm asking for the likes, not that you like my position. What's going on, Art? Not that you like my position or commentary, but it just gets more people into the conversation because I want to read the comments. I want to have a lively debate because people are debate me in the comments heavy. But now I'm live, so you get to actually ask me what I think about this stop, right? And those of you all who follow me, you already know that I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a liberal, I'm not conservative, I'm an independent. And if I was a justice on the Supreme Court, I would be known as a swing justice. Why would I be known as a swing justice? Because it depends on the issue. It depends on the issue which way I'm more likely to go. Now, looking at this traffic stop, we do have to analyze certain things in the context of, yeah, we do have to analyze certain things in the context of this stop and what took place in the stop. So, William McNeil Jr. was pulled over for Florida statute 316.217. And Florida statute 316.217, I'm going to read it literally because, okay, I'm going to read it literally because I don't want to get it, obviously get it wrong, because I know Illinois law like the back of my hand, but doing legal research, it makes sense to cite it exactly for what it is. Give me 1 minute. I'm sorry about that. Can you all hit the like button, please? I'm seeing some more people watching, 82 people watching, but only 6 likes. Can you all please hit the like button? What are your thoughts about the stock? Damn, 141. That shit shot up fast. All right, so got you. Thank you. Thick Boy Tactical. What's up, man? That's a name. All right. And as a former thick boy, I'm still thick. I'm still thick. You said depends on your added value. All right, well then don't hit the like button. I don't want you to hit the like button. Don't hit the like button because, that's not, I don't want you to like my opinion. It's to get the algorithm going to get more people in the conversation. I already told you, you may or may not like my opinion, but we're going to go there. So Florida statute 316.217, the law states that you are to have your headlights on during rain, fog, or snow, or let me hold on. I don't want to say limited visibility. I'm trying to get to the statute. My fingers are not working fast like they need to. Jeez. I'm sorry. I should have had this up. But this is a live show, so we're doing it live. We're doing it live, dadgummit. We are doing it live. We are doing it live. Sorry. Sorry. All right, I'm pushing past this. Facts, thick boy. Okay, you said it's not your opinion, the facts. Oh, I'm giving you the facts. I'm going to give you the facts for sure. Thick Boy Tactical. It's simple. Always comply. And if you think your rights are being abused, wait and contact your lawyer when able to win. Yes, absolutely. Who said anything about opinion? Absolutely. Didn't he have his seatbelt on at the start? I'd like to know. So my thing is this. It's going to be hard to say whether or not he had his seatbelt on it. And I'm going to explain. So if you don't already know, former police officer, all their background, stuff like that. And the thing is, whenever you have somebody who says, I'm a former police officer, and as such, believe me, not all police officers are the same. There are some who get the star and shield or whatever the case may be, and they just sit there and just answer calls. And then there are those of us who are active police officers, meaning we are very active out there hunting, in essence. And, I don't want to use that word and make it sound negative like we're hunting for black folks. No, that's not it. But we're hunting for those who are out there committing crimes. And anybody who knows who is a active police officer, little stuff turns into big discoveries. Does that make sense? Little stuff turns into big discoveries. So when you look at the little stuff that turns into big discoveries, what are we talking here? The little stuff that turns into big discoveries. This is how you get your murder warrants. This is how you get your, people who are wanted for sexual assault. This is how you get a lot of different things that come from the broken windows effect. Absolutely, brutally honest. And so what sometimes people don't understand is if you look at every state, all 50 states, the vehicle code of every state is your biggest body of probable cause. Why? Because we are not in the day and age where officers are walking on foot. The primary mode of travel for most police officers is the vehicle. The primary mode of travel for most humans, the vehicle, the bus, the bike, walking, some form of transportation to get to and from. And so that's why the biggest body of probable cause is a vehicle's code of a state. It covers pedestrian rules, it covers vehicle, it covers bike. Everything is in that. Why? Because the Fourth Amendment states the right of the people to be secured in their persons, houses, papers shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. So there's the particularity requirement in a warrant, right? But absent that, there are other rules, if you will. And those rules are either established by statute or addressed by case law at the state's appellate or state Supreme Court, or the federal appellate and the federal United States Supreme Court. So then you have Dillon versus Prowse. And Dillon versus Prowse is a United States Supreme Court case that talks about in order to effectuate a traffic stop, you have to have reasonable suspicion. Then you've got Terry versus Ohio, 392 U.S. 1, which is reasonable suspicion to conduct a pat down of a person for weapons, things that can harm the officer. Then you've got not Terry versus Ohio. Then you've got Pennsylvania versus Mims, where Pennsylvania versus Mims talks about an officer, right? Because a traffic stop is considered what's called a de minimis intrusion. In other words, it's a minimal intrusion because the vehicle is already presumed to be lawfully stopped. Then asking the person to step outside of the car so that you could pat them down, pursuant to Terry versus Ohio, so that the officer is safe, is not an excessive intrusion. It's a de minimis or a minimal intrusion, right? That's Pennsylvania versus Mims. But that just covers just the driver. If you're looking at the passengers, Maryland versus Wilson extends the Mims decision over to the remainder of the passengers, because the passengers serve as they also present a level of danger to the officer as well, for officer safety. So if we look at the facts of this case, William McNeil was driving a silver Kia SUV. And in driving that silver Kia SUV, he was operating in what's called inclement weather. Okay. Now, the statute, I know, the statute does not say inclement weather in the statute. And I'm going to read the statute right here. Let me pull this up. I had it right here. I'm going to pull it up. Here we go. Because I want to read it verbatim. So, Title 23, which is motor vehicle, of the 2024 Florida statutes, including 2025 Special Session C, Chapter 316, okay, Section 217. When lighted lamps are required, number one, every vehicle operated on a highway within this state shall display. Yes, I'm losing weight, but I'm okay. I'm not sick. I've been intentionally losing weight. I'm a vegetarian and I work out a lot. Oh my God, y'all are something else. I just ran 5 miles yesterday. Here we go. Shall display lighted lamps and illuminating devices as herein respectively required for different classes of vehicles, subject to exceptions with respect to parked vehicles under the following conditions. At any time from sunset to sunrise, including twilight hours. Twilight hours shall mean at the time between sunset and full night, or between full night and sunrise. B, during any rain, smoke, or fog. Now, let's go full stop right there, okay? Full stop right there. When we're looking at full stop right there, people are focusing on during, right? Sound off in the comments. When you hear during, what does that mean? And I'm not going to go where you think I'm going to go, but I just want to get your thoughts. When you hear during, what does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? Because when we're talking about during, we're missing some things. We are missing some things. Right? During. Right? You said please. Yes, please like the video so that way we can get more people into the conversation, because I'm reading your comments as this is an interactive thing. Okay? An interactive thing. Okay? I want to interact with you. What's up? What's going on, Joseph? What's going on? We're talking about during. Okay, we just read the statute. During. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about during. Sometimes people don't understand that there are other cases, case laws, specifically in Florida, right? Specifically in Florida. It's not just the literal contextual meaning or the literal meaning of the actual statute. The Florida Supreme Court already addressed this, right? When you're looking at the Florida Supreme Court, they already addressed this in, let me get to that case law, because that's one of the things that lawyers do. One of the things that legal scholars do is they actually look at the interpretation of the law and any approximate court cases or any court cases that actually cover the very thing that we are talking about. We're talking about the spirit of the law. So what is the spirit of the law? I addressed this in a previous video. The spirit of the law talks about textualism and purposivism. Textualism and purposivism. What's going on? When we look at textualism and purposivism, what's the legislative intent behind that statute? Behind that Florida statute? What do you think the legislative intent behind that Florida statute is? That's what we're doing in this conversation. You said the spirit of the law is RoboCop. Charlie Boy, you said, good morning. Optics versus tactics. Knowledge of the law and its purpose is important. Also, interpretation of the law is typically viewed from a historical perspective. That is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So I'm going to give you the state Supreme Court case law from Florida. Here we go. State Supreme Court case law. So State v. Egan, 287 South 2D1, Florida in 1973. I'll say it again. State v. Egan, E-G-A-N. You can do the research. 287 South, 2nd, 1, Florida, 1973. Okay? Quote, statutes enacted for the preservation of the public health or safety are to be construed liberally in favor of the public interest and to effectuate the purpose of the law. What does that mean? That means if you're concentrating on the word during, you're not taking into consideration the legislative intent. What's the intent behind the statute 316.217? Driver visibility. Driver visibility. So that you can see and be seen when you're driving in this weather that changes and rains when it wants to. Just imagine if you had to flick your lights on and off, flick them on and off, flick them on and off. State's not going to go through all that, right? When it's inclement weather, turn the lights on so that it can be seen. In fact, you really don't even have to worry about that if you have a car that has automatic lights. Why? When it senses inclement weather, it's going to turn those lights on automatically, right? For the most part, right? So that's the legislative intent. Now, whose responsibility is it to teach you these things? Whose responsibility is it to teach you these things? Your family? Your culture? I mean, you would think with all of this, the police are against us. No matter what we do, we're going to get attacked from the black angle. You would think you would really verse yourself in the law, both locally, statewide, nationally, so you can understand systems, so you can know systems. Not agree, not disagree. If you agree, disagree, like, dislike, feel it's illegal, legal, moral, immoral, those are all value judgments. Set aside those and get knowledge of the law. Then if you want to dispute them, all that stuff, then get on the legislator. Talk to your legislator. Talk about changes, proposals. That's why you have lawmakers, right? But if you don't take the initiative to learn these things, then you get what you get, right? So Here we go. You're looking at another thing where the officer then walks up and advises him of the reason for the stop. Are you entitled to know the reason for the stop? Sound off in the comments. 2 questions. Are you entitled to know the reason for the stop, and who has a duty to tell you? Are you entitled to know the reason of the stop or for the stop, and who's entitled? Thank you, Em. Right? I said Em. 1, you are entitled to know the reason for the stop. 2, the police officer is not entitled by law to tell you. Don't believe me. Don't believe me. Do not believe me. Do the research yourself if you'd like to, right? Are you entitled to know the reason for the government interaction? Pursuant to the 4th Amendment, yes, you are entitled to. 2, is the officer entitled to tell you? No. If they do tell you, it's a courtesy, but there is no statute or case law that says the officer is entitled to tell you. The 4th Amendment requires that they have a reason for stopping you, and that if they arrest you, if they cite you, they bring that reason by way of official paperwork before a detached and neutral magistrate, where the judge is entitled by law to then inform you of the reason for the charges, or the charges that are being brought before this court, right? Now, somebody said in the comments, this clown isn't a lawyer. I'm not offended. You are 1,000% correct. You are not, I'm not a lawyer. But because I'm not a lawyer, that doesn't mean I'm not qualified to make these statements. I'm a criminal justice professor, right? That's what we do. We take this information on systems and we give it to you in layman's terms so you can understand the law, the system. That's what we criminal justice professors do. We teach criminal justice to those who want to understand systems. And I'm very much qualified to do that because I am not only a criminal justice professor, I'm a force science analyst. I'm actually qualified to talk about these things. You tried it. You thought you're going to do some shit. And what do I tell you? I tell you, don't believe me. Do the research for yourself. Not only do I tell you, but I give you the case and the case citation called codification so you can study to show yourself approved. Does that make sense? Come on. So here we go. So then when the officer informs you as a matter of courtesy, not as a matter of right, the reason for the stop, you don't believe it. That's fine. You are entitled to not believe it, right? You're entitled to not believe it. But that doesn't invalidate his reasoning. He has to prove his reasoning before the court. So then here we go. I'm going to look at some of your questions. Well, I mean, don't you have to be a lawyer to be a law-abiding citizen, right? No. That type of stuff. Here we go. So then we go to the officer asking you for your driver's license, proof of insurance, and your registration. So then when you go to driver's license, proof of insurance, and registration, what do you say? No, I'm not going to give you that. Call for your supervisor. Okay. So then when you talk about calling for the supervisor, what does that do? Nothing. It doesn't need, does that make sense? Nothing. I'm sorry, yeah. That doesn't mean anything. You're just asking for a supervisor. But here's this. You're not entitled to the supervisor. Not by law, by department policy you may be, but you're not entitled to the supervisor. And so, sure, go on ahead and call it in, get the supervisor your way, but that's not going to stop them from going further. Okay? And when they go further, what's going to happen now? So the officer asked you to step outside the car. When the officer asks you to step outside of the car, are they allowed to ask you to step outside of the car? Sign off in the comments. Are they allowed to, and we just covered this just a minute ago, are they allowed to ask you outside of the car? Art Davis says yes. Art Davis says yes. Yeah. Tamra, yeah. You said sadly, yes. Samaj says depending. You must step out. And yes, that is correct. You said depends on the reason for the stop, right? No. Here we go. Pennsylvania versus Mims, right? The Supreme Court of the United States said the stop is presumed to be a legal stop, right? You're already stopped. Reasonable suspicion pursuant to Delaware versus Prowse has already taken place. You don't need probable cause to conduct a traffic stop. You need reasonable suspicion under Delaware v. Prowse to stop the car. Since the car is presumed to be stopped for a lawful purpose, right? Pennsylvania versus Mims says asking you to step outside the car must be followed. It's already considered to be what's called a de minimis intrusion into your liberties pursuant to the Fourth Amendment. It doesn't violate the Fourth Amendment. You're already stopped. And so it's a de minimis intrusion to ask you to step outside the car. You must obey. Step outside the car. The minute you say no, now you trigger the state law that says you're obstructing and resisting because you're failing to comply with Pennsylvania versus Mims. You're failing to comply with that. So now it triggers the state violation of resisting. And some people don't understand how state law and constitutional or is this? Yes, absolutely. You said, yes, you always fight in court, not on the side of the road. You said, I've been stopped for the same thing twice. Once they asked me to stay in the car. The other time I was asked to step outside the car. I was asked to step outside the car multiple times too. And guess what I did? Step outside of the car. Because I know systems. It's not about whether I agree or disagree. I know the cards that they have in their hand to play. And one of those cards is Pennsylvania versus Mims. They can ask me to step out and I must comply because failure to comply in Illinois would be 720 ILCS 5, section 31-1, resisting a police officer. That's verbal resistance, physical resistance. Just because you're not physically fighting doesn't mean you're not resisting. Now, some of you got on you said Pennsylvania versus Mims only applies to lawful stops. I wouldn't recommend you fight that in the streets. Well, that's why we have to get to the venue, right? You're not absolutely wrong in questioning mentally whether or not the stop is justified. So what do? We take this to the venue. So that determination can be made. And I'll give you one such example. So the argument was over the seatbelt, right? Even a person who has arrested people off of seatbelts that led to other things, right? Guess what I did? I'm going to give you this. So what I would do with my ticket book was I would wear, if it was sunny outside, I would wear those sunglasses that block the UV rays. And I would position myself where I could see through the front windshield. See, I was supervisor of a traffic enforcement section, and I used to teach the officers that I supervised how to set yourself up in positions to be able to catch certain violations. I'm giving you institutional knowledge here, okay? How to set yourself up to try to observe somebody not wearing a seatbelt from the side, driver's side, or passenger side, you're going to be hard pressed to make that case in court, especially if they got tinted windows, because all they have to do is take a picture, date and time stamp of their tinted windows, and it's going to be hard for you to make that case because you cannot see the left shoulder blade and the door jamb to be able to see the color contrast of the color of the seatbelt and their clothing. Does that make sense? You got to be able to paint the picture for the court who was not there. The body camera footage is not going to show that distance. Does that make sense? It's not about what can happen. It's about what you can prove. So if you're trying to catch people for seatbelt violations, you have to be in a position to be able to observe and describe. You're talking to somebody who had a 98% conviction rate when I would go into court and testify. You see what I'm saying? So I was wearing the sunglasses that had the UV blockers. What does that do in daylight? Gives me a clear and unobstructed view of the driver and whether they're speeding. What I used to do, I used to use LiDAR, right? So at a 10-degree angle, we shoot the laser, right, directly at a reflective surface. It sends it back to us. It gives us the speed. It's hard to sit there and say it wasn't you, unlike radar. Radar sends a signal and it picks on the fastest thing and the largest thing. So there's one of those, you just don't know. So if it's a collection of cars, how do you pick the one out? That's where LiDAR comes in. You see what I'm saying? You got to be able to explain those things to a layman, to a jury. Johnny Cochran even said it best. Evidence doesn't always win the day. Juries like stories. Our job is to tell our story better than the other side tells theirs, right? So what are we doing? We're telling a story. We're painting a picture. We're explaining it. We're teaching it to the jury. We're showing them demonstrative exhibits that demonstrate exactly what we're talking about, right? So the seatbelt was going to be a hard one. How did the officer see that this person did or did not have their seatbelt on? So I even was going to dispute the validity of the seatbelt, but you don't dispute that on the street. You dispute that in court, right? That's where you have a qualified attorney, not just any attorney, a qualified attorney to be able to say those things in court because you know the systems, you know the training, you know where officers are trained, where they're not. Does that make sense? Where they're not trained. Now, Timothy Childress says he had weed on him. That's probable cause to search the vehicle. How did you get to that weed? And does the smell of weed, ipso facto, by that very fact, does the smell of weed give you access into the vehicle? If you were to do a Terry pat down under the plain field doctrine, what does weed feel like as opposed to a balled up piece of paper? What does that feel like using our sensory? Does that make sense? Right? So what does weed feel like? Unlike a firearm that has a rather distinctive feeling, a J frame, so to speak, an L shape, right? You can feel the trigger. You can feel the serrations on the slide. You can feel that under the plain field doctrine. That's sensory. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, that's that. So then we get to him saying no. Well, when you say no, right? And here we go. Here's another Supreme Court case I'm going to give you. Heien, H-E-I-E-N, Heien versus North Carolina, 574 U.S. 54, 2014. The Supreme Court held that even a mistaken interpretation of law can justify a stop as long as it was a reasonable, objective mistake. A police officer's reasonable mistake of law can still give rise to reasonable suspicion necessary to uphold a traffic stop under the Fourth Amendment. Police officers are not required to parse statutory text like legal scholars. They are required to act in reasonably informed ways based on training and experience. So when an officer stops A driver for failure to activate headlights in the rain is not a technical error. It's a valid application of the law's purpose. Does that make sense? So when you got the valid application of the legislative intent, the Supreme Court case law from the United States, which is binding upon all courts from which officers are going to be judged, it's binding upon all courts. A reasonable mistake of law can still be used for reasonable suspicion under Delaware versus Prowse, Heehan versus North Carolina to uphold the traffic stop. So the traffic stop stays. It does not go because you're arguing during, especially when you got State v. Egan, the Supreme Court case in Florida that says, well, yeah, you're arguing semantics over during, but that's not the legislative intent of the law. It's driver visibility. So then you get, if you look at the video, the whole area was wet when he was stopped. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what a jury would likely conclude. When you have a lawyer that says, well, State v. Egan, what's the legislative intent? You bring a legislator in to testify. Well, the legislative intent is simply for driver visibility. It's not just for the driver themselves because they may be able to see, but can other drivers see the car? You see what I'm saying? And if anybody has ever driven in inclement weather, you know, let's ask this question to you all in the comments. Do me a favor. Can you tap that like button, please? Let's ask a question. Have you ever driven in fog, rain, whatever the case may have been, and by the time you saw the car, what did it do? Right? By the time you saw the car, it was too late for you to make an adjustment, or you had to make a quick, abrupt adjustment because visibility was not that great. You see what I'm saying? It's the legislative intent behind the law. Okay? You said conditions did not warrant the stop, nor did the driver's actions warrant the escalation. You're entitled to be wrong. You're entitled to be wrong. It's okay. Y'all getting stuck on him searching and finding the weed. He was under arrest. Arrestees must be searched prior to going in the patrol car since illegal weed was found. That's PC to search the vehicle. Well, they already had PC to search the vehicle because Pennsylvania versus Mims. It's everything within the immediate wingspan of that driver to make sure that they don't have a weapon that they've hidden. You see what I'm saying? So when you don't understand case law and when you don't understand what got us to this point, right, then you have your opinions and you have the right to be wrong, right? You said, I saw the video. It wasn't raining. That police officer pulled him over because he was black. Well, here we go. To most black folks, everything is racist. To most black folks, everything is illegal towards black folks. You see what I'm saying? So I don't get into the argument with black folks and liberal whites, you know, or people who support the, you know, white guilt, whatever. I don't get into those arguments because your white guilt or the narrative causes you to see things from that lens. So you don't, just like you don't get into an argument with a blind person about sight. Does that make sense? Because if they can't see, then they can't see what you see. No, it wasn't a racially motivated stop at all. You know, yeah, it's not worth it. We don't get into, right, oh my God, tell me what you see. They're blind. What are we going to do? Now, tell me what you smell. Tell me what you hear. Tell me what you feel. Okay, we can have a conversation, but I don't get into about what you see because here we go. If a racist white person is taught racism from their family, then a black family can teach their children victim mindset. It goes both ways. So we don't get into those type of conversations. Yeah, you said, I don't get into race arguments because inmates will call me racist after I find K2 in their bunk. Facts. You see what I'm saying? If you know where it's going to go, whatever. So here we go. Everything is dumb to dumb people. Absolutely. Right. Guys, the best thing I had going, the best thing he had going for them. Well, hold on. The dash. Okay. So the blow to the face. Thank you. The blow to the face. I don't know if you all saw this. That was a palm heel strike. Let me see if I have that picture. That was a palm heel strike. It was not a punch to the face. Look at the caption. If you want to go back out of this YouTube video, this live, and you want to look at the picture, because that's the picture that I put as the thumbnail. That is a palm heel strike. He asked him multiple times to get out of the vehicle. Multiple times. I'm going to post the video right after this. Just that little section, right? It's a palm heel strike, not a punch. A palm heel strike is also a defensive distraction tactic. Now, some of you all say it was unnecessary violence. I disagree in part. And the reason why I disagree in part and not fully, you don't see his hands. You don't see his hands. You don't see his hands. When the hand disappears, it accelerates the fear. You don't see his hands until after the strike. After the strike. Here we go. Let me play the video. I'm gonna play the video for you. I'll play the video for you. I'll play the video for it because I don't expect you to. It's not about whether you agree or disagree. Here we go. Here's the video. This is a palm heel strike. You don't see his hands. You don't see his hands. You don't see his hands. And that's a palm heel strike. Look at it yourself. Here it is. It's an open palm heel strike. You don't see his hands. Come on now. I'm only giving you the video. You don't see his hands. Come on. That's why as a force science analyst, what do? We slow it down. We slow it down. Palm heel strike. You can't see his hands. Come on. You cannot see his hands. Sorry. You don't get anything from me. Palm heel strike. You don't see his hands. If his hands were up like this during the strike, all right, you might have something. He was given multiple lawful orders. Yes. Multiple lawful orders. Multiple lawful orders. Man, he was given so many lawful orders, and the officer was calm. The officer was calm. The officer didn't argue with him. He just, look, I'm telling you to get out the car. I'm telling you multiple times, get out the car. I'm telling you multiple times, get out the car. You're under arrest for resisting. 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 Like, how many times? And I'm going to play the video. How many times? How many times? Right? We're going to play this video. Shouts out to Nate the lawyer. Okay? I'm going to play this video. You're told multiple times. Here we go.
My head during the daytime, and then you put your hand on your gun and reach out. 25 seconds. For the 9-4, driver just slammed the door and locked it. Yep. 25 seconds. If anybody responding, come in from Commonwealth, block the vehicle, please. Keep your hands where I can see them, sir. My camera's on too. I've already told you.
Now here, McNeil is still asking. He is still asking, why have you pulled me over? Even though the cop has mentioned it twice in this video.
Okay. Okay. Right now you're under arrest for resisting. You understand? You're under arrest for resisting. The longer you take us on, the worse it's going to be. Keep your hands where I can see them, sir. Okay.
exit before we're going to break the window. Open the door and exit, or we are going to break the window. Open the door and exit, or we are going to break the window.
Sir, can you please ask him what did I do wrong?
Well, we're conducting a traffic stop right now. You need to comply.
I am.
Hey, unlock the car. I'm going to push it up. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Open the door and exit. You are under arrest for resisting. Can you unlock the door and step out?
Can you talk to me though?
I will. Can you step out?
Because you don't even know the whole situation.
You're being done. There's a traffic stop being conducted. You're required to comply.
I'm required to actually.
So, yes. Correct. Huh? Okay. So what did he ask for when he I guess talked to you?
Okay, so now he's been.
You see what I'm saying? How many times did they ask him to step outside the car? I don't care about you calling me a bootlicker or all this other stuff. I don't really care about that. I don't care about that. You could call me whatever you want to call me. Moving on. How many times did they ask him to step outside the car? How many times? And here's this. Did they say it with a level of a high attitude? Did they say it in I don't want to say disrespectful, because disrespectful is subjective. You have the right not to like what you're being asked to do. You have a right not to like that. But they've asked you multiple times to step outside the car, right? Now, I know he didn't have to. See, I love it. I love it. Who are the ones that you normally see making complaints about stuff like this? Who do you normally see? Most black folks. Well, if you think about it, it's a survival culture. They're trained in the victim narrative, right? No matter how many years continue to progress, we're in 2025 and they're still thinking about 1869 and Juneteenth. Like, this is July, what? July 29th, almost well over a month ago, it was Juneteenth. You see what I'm saying? So my thing is, when you got people who constantly think about slavery and chains, it's hard to speak on freedom, right? When you got a culture that doesn't concentrate on family actually mattering and not being abusive to your children, you see what I'm saying? If you think about it, if this culture mistreats their children and they beat their children, do you see the nexus? Do you see the neck? Come on now. Do you see the nexus? Do you see the nexus? Right? I don't get into discussions with people within my culture that mistreats their children. I don't get into those discussions because they will justify beating their children, but have a problem when the police officers do the same thing that you do to your children. So we don't get into conversations with those types. We just don't do that because it's not going anywhere, right? Pattern recognition. You get what I'm saying. So let's get back to it. Eduardo Cardenas, the Hispanic community is not that far away from the black community because Hispanic parents abuse their children too. The only difference is you're more together in community, but you're not too far away. Not my opinion. Look it up. DCFS, the fact, look it up. Look it up. So you're not too far away. So I don't expect you to understand either. And here we go. I psychotic. A whooping is an abuse. See, didn't I tell you somebody was going to justify a whooping is an abuse? So if a whooping is an abuse, A palm heel strike to get you back on track isn't abuse either. Didn't I tell you? Didn't I tell you they was gonna do it? Didn't I tell you? See, why do you get into discussions with me? I don't know, because I know how to trap you in your own logic, just like lawyers. Right? Gotcha. Come on, brutally honest caught him. Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, let me ask you this question. Were there better ways that this could have been performed? This traffic stop? Yes. How many of you all knew I was going to say that? If you've been following me for a while, you already know. Thank you for the super chat. And I'm going to answer your question in a minute. Are there better ways this could have been performed? Yes, absolutely. There are better ways that this traffic stop could have been performed, but I'm going to tell you where we would have gotten back to the beginning. I'm going to tell you where we would get back to the beginning. So, as soon as, now, how many of you all sign up in the comments, type the number 1, type the number 1, type the number 1, if you want me to teach you how I would have done it. Come on, Eduardo, get into this conversation. Get into this conversation. Type the number 1 if you want me to tell you how I would have done it. All right, let's go. Let's go. 6:45, I'll be out on a traffic stop. Silver Kia four-door, Florida 28, 574 Union Sam 54, 574 Union Sam 54, unknown occupants, code 3. So I'm out of the car. I approach, door flies open. Hey, what's going on? Why'd you fly your door open? Oh, my window not working. Oh, okay, all right, whatever. Just keep your hands where I can see them. So the reason why I'm stopping you is you didn't have your lights on. Now, here we go. Well, I don't have to have my light. Look, I'm not going to get into an argument with you. And whole time, I'm not going to even give you a ticket if your driver's license, proof of insurance, and registration are all valid. Look, you have a right not to like the police. We ain't got to be friends. It's all cool. What am I doing? I am connecting with that person. I'm establishing a relationship with that person so they can learn what I'm trying to teach them. I'm giving them the permission that they don't need, but that they likely never got as a kid, not to like me. You have a right not to like whoever you don't like. You have a right not to. Does that make sense? Right? Here we go. If you give me the driver's license, proof of insurance, registration, right? I'm going to go and check it out. And I promise you, I give you my word, I'm not going to give you a ticket. Does that make sense? Now, here's where we would have ended up back in a similar situation. If he would have given me that driver's license and I would have ran it, 645, run me a 27. I'm just using Illinois terminologies. Here we go. I got you, Edward. Hang tight, Eduardo. I got you. 645, boy 650-3789-4857. Boy 657-3789-47. I just got the numbers, whatever. Here we go. 645, are you clear for 43? Stand by for a minute. Clear for 43 in Illinois just simply means get your ass back so they can give you some information. You don't want the driver to hear it, right? 645, I'm clear. Go ahead. Yeah, the subject comes back suspended out of Jacksonville, Florida for whatever. 29s are clear, which means no warrants, right? But the license is suspended. In the state of Florida, that is an arrestable offense. In the state of Illinois, that's an arrestable offense. So now we're getting back to I have probable cause to arrest. Why? This is a strict liability offense. It's not something that I need to Mirandize you for. It's basically what it is. You were driving, your license is suspended, bam. There it is, okay? So I walk up to the car. Hey, do me a favor, step outside the car real quick. Your license is suspended. I'm going to have to arrest you for that because that's what the legislature says I have to do. Now, Here we go. We can go one or two ways. I like to do the compliant way. I know you don't like me. I don't want to do that force thing because I don't like to lose. I can't lose. I represent a sovereign. So you can comply, make a complaint against me if you want to, take that to the court. It's all good. Or we can take it this other way, and then whatever happens, happens. I'd rather not do that. So you can step outside the car. Yes, I'm going to put you in handcuffs because you've been cool this entire time, bro. You've been cool whole time. I ain't going to even hold you. F the police. I'm with you on that. But I'm not all the police. I'm just a police officer. So it's up to you how you want to take it. Does that make sense? It's up to you how you want to take it. That's what I'm saying. And then I'm letting him decide, right? All humans have two primary needs, the need to feel secure and the need to feel in control. I'm giving him back that control. Coming from the same community, I'm also an early childhood educator, so I understand about the community and what black boys are not given that they need to be given that's developmentally appropriate as a child. So I'm tapping into that inner child within him. Is it going to always work? Nope. Oh, you said I hit him with the palm heel strike. Nah, I ain't got to do that. I ain't got to do that. Not if I don't need to, right? Does that make sense? Not if I don't need to, right? If you turn around and comply, bam, bam. Hey, it's all good. You ain't got to like me. Come on, let's go ahead and knock this out. If I got to give you an I-bond, I give you an I-bond. You on your way. That's that, right? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? That's a way it could have been done. A way it could have been done. Not the way. But just because there's a better way to do it doesn't mean that the way it was done was wrong. The Supreme Court even said this. The Constitution does not require that you choose a less intrusive means. It just requires that the means that you chose is objectively reasonable and does not violate the Constitution. So NTT Reaper, I'm going to go ahead and get you out of here. Bam, you out of here. All right, here we go. I told you. Yeah, I'd rather talk to someone into my back seat than to sit there and fight them in it. Absolutely. That's that. Yeah, you said easier said than done. I'm going to tell you a reason why you got some cops that say it's easier said than done. Because you don't necessarily have relationship skills. See, the police academy can only teach you so much. You see what I'm saying? And the thing is, in the culture in law enforcement, not a lot of people are having that real conversation that a percentage of people should not be the police. But when they don't have a lot of people who have those skills signing up to be the police, you got to get what comes your way. That's the realistic of that conversation. Yeah, Big Ham 78, they're not ever really hearing what I'm saying. And that goes along with the statement that I made. The person I'm sorry, you are totally right. Thank you for calling me out. I don't know how to, I'm going to say Plays, that's your last name. You're right. I read one sentence and misread the context. Yes, let me go back and get it. I'll hold myself accountable for that because this is alive. So I see a couple things and then I assume the rest and go with it. You're absolutely correct. Let me go back and get that context. Or if you want to state it again here, I'll listen to it again. Thank you for checking me on that. You're 1,000% correct. I'm okay. I can hold myself accountable. You guys are not hearing what he said. He would have given this person a chance. This person could have just got out of the vehicle, hands up, and arrested and sat in the back of the car and make it easy. You see what I'm saying? That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah, it's all good, Plays. It's all good. Yeah, I can hold myself accountable because this is alive. I catch one thing and then go with it because pattern recognition, right? You're probably right. You're right. I probably missed the context of what you were saying. And you're not absolutely wrong at all. It can be easy. I know from experience. It can be easier said than done. Like this person could decide, I'm not going to jail today on something that you and I both know. This is small. What are you doing? You're the one that made this super big. It's a headlight, bro. I could have. And here's this. from an operational perspective, I know that usually when someone does too much on a traffic stop, it is something that they are most likely hiding. They got a suspended license. They got drugs in the car. They got a gun they're not supposed to have. They got warrants. You see what I'm saying? So when somebody usually does too much, boy, it's something else. And it's like that right there already is giving me reasonable suspicion to go forward with this, right? Reasonable. Yes. Yes. When you doing too much, boy, I'm going for it. What are you hiding? What are you hiding? Yeah, man, what are you you hiding some shit? And so I'm like, yeah, I'm about to poke. I'm about to poke harder, faster, bigger, deeper. Even if I gotta piss you off, because I'm getting to what you hiding. I don't care. You could ask for a supervisor. You can get mad all day. I'm gonna continue to push because I know you hiding some shit, right? And I know the courts got my back. I know the courts got my back, right? I'm just saying. You said the reckoning. Unfortunately, some folks don't know how to comply, and the don't touch me always follows. Yeah. And the thing is, you can say, don't touch me, but that's not going to hold. Now, here we go. Somebody tried to quote one time, John Bad Elk versus United States, 1900, in a Florida case. So the John Bad Elk versus United States codified as 177 U.S. 529, 1900. This was the holding in the U.S. Supreme Court. The holding was a person has a right to use force, even deadly force, in self-defense against an unlawful arrest, particularly when the arrest is made without a warrant and without legal authority, and the person has no reason to believe that the arrest is lawful. Now, that's the Supreme Court case law. But sometimes people don't understand Supreme Court case law and statutory law. Statutory law actually trumps Supreme Court case law when the statutory law that was made after the Supreme Court case law actually addresses the reason for the holding in the Supreme Court case law. They don't understand that. You see what I'm saying? And so what did the Florida state legislature do to actually trump that Bad Elk case law? They created statute. Florida Statute 776-051, Section 1. A person is not justified in using force to resist an officer by law enforcement or to resist an arrest by law enforcement officer who is known or reasonably appears to be a law enforcement officer, even if the arrest is unlawful, right? And there are courts in the state of Florida who rejected the Bad Elk principle. I'm going to give you the case law. State v. Saunders, 339 South 2nd, 641, Florida, 1976, held that Florida law no longer recognizes the common law right to resist unlawful arrest with force. State versus Barnes, 417 South 2nd, 788, Florida, out of the District Court of Appeals, the 5th District Court of Appeals, 1982, reaffirmed Saunders that there is no right to resist even an unlawful arrest with violence in the state of Florida. Does that make sense? And so I'm giving you the case law that would be cited by lawyers in court, right? Now, some of you all said anxiety and scared. Guess what I would quote? See, you wouldn't want me as the officer testifying against you because then I would introduce the developmental science. Well, your anxiety and your being scared under Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett's theory of constructed emotion holds that you are not born with emotions. Come on now. You are not born with emotions. You are taught emotions. And if your culture is a survival culture, you're taught emotions. But let's take away the survival culture. Let's go to early childhood education. If you are born with emotions, what are these? What are these? What are these? Emotions are taught. These are cards about emotions. How do you know this face really means he's happy? This face could mean that he's holding sadness and appearing happy. You don't know. Emotions are taught to you. You are not born with emotions. So if you feel anxious, you need to talk to your culture about this feeling of anxious. What are you anxious about? You are taught how to feel. You are not born with emotions under the theory of constructed emotion. Because if you're born with emotions, these cards will not even be necessary. You are taught emotions. You see what I'm saying? And it's not anyone else's fault. It's not anyone else's fault what you were taught. You see what I'm saying? It's not anyone else's fault what you were. If you are scared, hey, you have the right to be scared. But the law is the law. I will make a short for that, Gilbert. The law is the law. Okay, so Zach, I love these conversations. Here we go. You said you are not taught emotions. Babies cry and don't even know their name yet, bro. So there's a difference between sensory. If we're talking about not Yuri Bronfenbrenner, but if we're talking about Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory, right? You've got 4 levels: sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational. I got it, Jeffrey. Give me 1 minute. Sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete operational, and formal operational. Sensory motor is not how I'm feeling. Emotions. Sensory motor is what I'm feeling. I am sensing things, what I touch, what I taste, what I see, what I hear, what I smell. So if I'm crying as a signal, as a baby, to let you know I have a need that needs to be met. It's the only thing that I can do is make a sound and cry. It's up to you to know what that sound means. And if you are not taught early childhood education and human growth and development, then you don't know these things. That's why you're saying it's BS. So you have a right to be wrong. It's just what it is, right? Jake Cole, you said those cards are there for communication purposes. I'm not going to dispute you. You're wrong, but I'm not going to dispute you because you have a right to be wrong. That's all it is. Okay, I love this question. What about the cops acting like children? Let's go there. So I'm going to ask you some questions. Are there humans who grow up to be adults who have things that happened to them in their childhood that were adverse, bad, traumatic? Does that make sense? Are there things that happen to humans that are adverse, bad, or traumatic? Okay. Is it possible that those humans as adults feel like they are insecure and need to control things? I got you, XJ. Hang tight. Are those humans adults who feel like they need to secure themselves and control things to get that security? Yes. Okay. What are the professions they would likely gravitate to if, when I'm in trouble and feel afraid, who could I call to make me feel secure? Come on now. Who could I call to make me feel secure? The principal? Okay, that's one. The mayor? Okay, that's another. Law enforcement? Yes. No. It's not an excuse. Just listen, right? Listen. Here we go, right? You said not no damn police. All right, cool, whatever. Right, but for overall society, you would call the police, right? So why, as an adult, would I call the police when I can just be the police? So are there a percentage of not just police officers, but we're going to stick to your original question, right? Police officers acting like children. I'm going to get there. Come on, I'm a teacher. So let me get there, right? Are there a percentage of police officers who are fully grown as adults, who have early childhood, adverse childhood experiences and trauma they didn't ask for, who grow up to become adults, who have not had those childhood issues addressed, and they get hired as police officers. And so when you're trying to assert your rights or have a conversation, remember those skills they did not get. Those skills they did not get as a child. Mind growth and body growth are two different things. So it could be the case that you are arguing with an adult-bodied police officer who is still living in an unaddressed child on the inside. That is very much a thing. And it's not just police officers. It could be parents. It could be teachers. It could be your supervisor at work. You think you're arguing with what you see is an adult. But on the inside, the toddler is coming out through that adult, and you're arguing with that toddler, and you don't see it. So because you don't see it, you're continuously arguing when you should pull back and stop and say, okay, what would you like for me to do? You have to appeal to that toddler within that adult. Does that make sense? Come on, y'all. Come on. I'm not worried about the negative comments. People have a right to be wrong. I'm wanting to teach those who want to learn. You don't have to agree with me. We just all want to grow from this, right? We all want to grow from this. They didn't get the nurturing growth people need for social skills. Yes. Yes. Come on now. Read Broken Children Grown in Pain by Paul Hegstrom. It explains that very thing. Thank you. I needed that book. You see what I'm saying? It explains that very thing. And so when I teach the science of compliance, the science of compliance is not to make you feel subservient as a human being. No one should ever be able to tell you how to feel, what you're feeling. That's on you. But the science of compliance is I am finessing this ego so that this person doesn't feel the need to prove themselves as a worthy human being by overpowering me to make themselves feel powerful. You have to play chess with your human interaction with others. This isn't about being right. It's about understanding the right path to take. It's just like with your parents. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to tell you this. The first abusive police officer in your life may have been your parents. The first abusive police officer in your life may have been your authoritarian parents. And because you needed to get your needs met, you were taught to internalize what they said to you, what they said about you, so that you could get your needs met. And those became self-fulfilling prophecies. You told yourself you had ADHD because you were told you had that, when in fact you don't have ADHD. Your behavior was developmentally appropriate. Your behavior was developmentally appropriate. You were just misunderstood. There's $1 billion diagnostic industry based on ODD, ADHD, autism spectrum disorder. And your developmentally appropriate behavior as a child was misunderstood by those who were taught not to see it. I'm going to give you case in point. The National Association for the Education of Young Children has in their glossary of definitions disability, but doesn't include impairment. Impairment. So I'm going to explain. Did you know that just like racism is a social construct, did you know that disability is a social construct too? Yes. Don't believe me? Look it up. Disability is a social construct. Impairment is when you have a physical, biological thing that impairs your ability to be able to do things that other human beings can do. But disability is when your society can't help you with your impairment. But they don't teach early childhood educators that. And so when they are taught to see everything as a disability, your behavior that could be developmentally appropriate gets pathologized as bad instead of just developmentally appropriate. Yes, police are a more recent social construct than yes, I'll agree with you on that. And in fact, here we go. And in fact, police officers are not taught this in these academies. Police officers are not taught to de-escalate by understanding the toddler in the motorist. You say, Coach, be nasty. What book did you get this information from? If you don't mind citing references, I love that. First of all, I have my degree in early childhood education, right? So I've got 3 degrees. I've got 3 degrees. I've got my bachelor's in criminal justice psychology and philosophy. I've got my master's in criminal justice, and I went back to college to get an associate's because that's all you need to get for early childhood education. Plus, I've got over 100 professional development hours. I'm a parenting instructor. I'm a trauma-informed coach. You see what I'm saying? A lot of statistics. So I'm very well learned in this. But I'm going to give you books. I'm going to give you books because that's what you asked for. And I have my book list here. Okay, that's what you asked for. Let me give you these books. Because be nasty, you follow me all the time. So I would be remiss in my duty to help you. You said those are, okay, moving on. Here we go. The Gift of Failure, How the Best Parents Learn to Let Go so Their Children Can Succeed by Jessica Leahy. Okay. Those who just came into the room who have comments, you either stay for the lecture and, okay, I got you. You either stay for the lecture or continue to comment negatively because that's engagement. The Growth Mindset Coach, a teacher's month-to-month guide or handbook for empowering students to achieve by Annie Brock and Heather Huntley. You can tell a lot about a person by the books they read, okay? How to Work with Complicated People, Strategies for Effective Collaboration with Nearly Anyone by Ryan Leake. Raising Good Humans, a mindful guide to breaking the cycle of reactive parenting and raising kind and confident kids by Hunter Clark Fields and Carla Nomberg. Here we go. Between Us, How Cultures Create Emotions by Dr. Batya Mosqueda. Now, here we go. Look, here's another comment I gotta highlight. Ja-Man says, degrees don't make you smart there, pal. So that's the problem, right? When you think about it, even the culture of law enforcement does not like college degrees. They think you don't need them. Now, there's an argument for yes, you may not need them to whoop ass, right? When all you want to do is whoop ass, you don't need a degree, right? But if you want that opportunity to get internships, to be able to understand how different departments do it, to see if your training makes sense or if you were undertrained. That's where college comes in, because you get the theory. Now, people will say, well, that's just your theory. Whenever someone sits there and says that's just your theory, they obviously don't know theories. They don't know that theories are the result of practice. Whenever one says that's just your theory, that means that they don't understand science and what makes theory a theory. You can tell someone's ignorance by looking at the comment section, right? They don't know what theories are, so they don't understand science. They don't understand why those people like me get better results, because I understand human behavior, so I'm able to address it. I don't need to use a firearm or use a baton or use these other things. I have them and can use them, but I understand why the cage bird sings. I know why the cage bird sings, because I study the race, I study the behavior, I study the patterns. As a force science analyst, that's what that certification is right there. As a force science analyst, right? What do? We analyze human behavior. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do. You should be a fly on the wall in some of these classes, the police classes, where it's like, yeah, hell yeah. And it's just a head bobbing session. They don't understand shit that you're telling them. And instructors like me get a little frustrated because you know how important this stuff is, but they don't give a damn. They just want to go out there and whoop ass. Why? Because they're toddlers in a uniform. Here we go. College used to be a great opportunity for students to learn critical thinking with people of all walks of life. Yeah, and it also depends on what college you go to. It also depends on what college you go to. Does that make sense? Yay, Coach Be Nasty. Say, yeah, hell yeah, absolutely, I get it. Graham versus Connor? Hell yeah, Graham cracker. All right, bye, whatever, get out of here. All right, next book, here we go. How Emotions Are Made, The Secret Life of the Brain by Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett. I do think there's a place for apprenticeship. I don't think policing as it currently stands is the place for apprenticeship. It would be different if police officers, put some more up there. I want to read the rest of what you had to say, Liz. And if the police that trained them were some of the best, not best at being ass. Yeah, Liz, you're right. 1000% correct. Absolutely. Yes. So, you know, when the cage bird sings, all the sheepskin in the world won't stop a caged bird from singing. Hence the reason why we... Yeah, John, you're correct. Hence the reason why we carry sticks and firearms. You're correct. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. See? You're not wrong at all. Yes. Yes, you're right. Matt, let me see, plays. You said learning never stops. College or not. Time changes, so stay ahead of the newest thing people are talking about. Yes, read more books. Yes. See, you don't have to go to college to read books. You are 1000% correct. You just have to be, I'm going to give you a word, an epistemologist. Epistemologist. E-P-I-S-T-E-M-O-L-O-G-I-S-T. Epistemologist. What is an epistemologist? Yes. Gliding, swollen, tactical. Yes. Sorry, I got too excited. I'm gonna tell you what it means, plays. All law enforcement should have to start in the jail, then get promoted out. I agree. And let me tell you why. Because in the correctional center, you don't have a gun. Even as a deputy sheriff, you might have it outside. If you're on a RIT team, I used to be a CO, a state CO. Yes, you're 1000% correct. That's where my law enforcement career started. You start as a CO. Why? You better know people. You have to know people because one, you're outnumbered. You are, yes. Have I ever heard of Dr. George Knox and the National Gang Crime Research Center? He was my professor. George Knox, yes, I've been in plenty of his classes. I first started out at Chicago State. Then I went to Governor State. Of course I know Dr. Knox. I don't think he's alive anymore. I don't think. But and if he is, yes, that's probably what I heard. But yeah, I know Dr. Knox. He, yes, always. Of course I know Dr. Knox. Yes. Does that make sense? Yeah, so you got to start. I believe you should have to start off as a correctional officer. Getting that humble pie from the inmates who will sit there and tell you, hey, you know, realistically, we make you think you run this. The inmates, we got a way. We got a way of helping you understand there's politics in the prison. Boy, telling you. Whoa, hey, if you don't know, you're going to find out real quick. Come on up in there with that. The only way the COs are running the prison is if the population is severely weak. If the population is severely weak, the COs got it. But if that population is strong and you in max, and you got an inmate-friendly administration. All right. Not every correctional center is the same. FAFO. Look around and find out. I'm telling you. Okay, so I'm saying, I agree with you. Let me get back to my other point. I got distracted by that, but I agree with you 1,000%. Boy, this boy gotta stop calling me. I agree with you 1,000%. Here we go. What was I saying before? Yeah, that was a good one, Glide and Swollen Tactical. That was a good one. Learning never stops, college or not. Yes, read more books. Read more books. Right? Here we go. If you didn't have this clown telling people they're dealing with the child and police, maybe just live with the rules of society and comply. I'm not going to even address. Baked meatball, you can stay here. Yeah, he has the comply or DIE mentality. But then when he gets pop by somebody who is willing to go there with him, and then he's on a officer memorial wall, remember me? Oh, we gonna remember you, pimp. We gonna remember you. Because didn't you see somebody epistemology, thank you, Plays. Didn't you see somebody in this section who sat there and said, it ain't nothing to find an officer's address and pull up? In Chicago, cops are getting robbed and shot daily, if not weekly. Does that make sense? Yeah, so here we go. Epistemology. Epistemology is the study of knowing. It's the study of knowing. Knowledge. Do you know how people think I'm pro-police 100%? You don't know me. You don't know me. Boy, I used to get into huge arguments with my police chief about the under-training that we were getting. The BS training that we were not getting enough training that we needed to get. And I used to get into big arguments with my chief and those mediocrity departments I used to work for. Man, please. So when I say I'm an independent, I'm a true independent. It depends on the issue. I could back law enforcement, or I could sit here. You said you do talk like a centrist liberal conservative. You're going to have me look that up. Here I am thinking I was just an independent who's mostly conservative and a little bit. I don't know. But I'm an independent. John H. too. And in some places you get no training too. You said, nah, you stated that before. You're not 100% pro-police. Yes, I'm not 100% pro-anything. Well, that's not true. I'm 100% pro-family. I am 100% for the child. I'm not 100% pro-everything. I'm an independent. It just depends on the issue. It just depends on the issue. You said that sounds like someone that doesn't have a tribal mind. Yeah, I don't follow the tribe. I hate to say it. So here we go. As an epistemologist who is a philosopher who loves knowledge, If you know anything about the transatlantic slave trade, you know that, hold on, I know this may trigger some of y'all, but just listen to me, indulge me in argument, because I may be giving you some new information in case you didn't know certain things. The narrative in the black community is we were stolen from Africa. As an epistemologist and as a military a veteran, I know that tactically, that it never made sense to me as a child that back then, with the type of technology or the lack thereof, thank you, brutally honest, yes, thank you, yes, I always thought it was an inside job. And so what did I do as an epistemologist? I went to go research. I learned about the Oyo, the Ashanti, the Dahomey. And Dahomey is a weird, Dahomies sold us out. Dahomies, that's a hell of a name for a tribe. Dahomies. So that the ones you think are your friends sold you in the end. Dahomies. I'm dead. You see what I'm saying? So they stole us from our land. No, boy, they gave your ass away. So let me get to where I'm going. An African elder from the Dahomey tribe. You know they're still alive, right? Here we go. The African elder that I still keep in contact with lives in an area of Chicago. He heard me talking because I was off-duty police during security in this building. Off-duty police make a lot of money. And he was sitting there just listening. And he was like, I want to talk to you. Come up to my apartment. It was in the building. Come up to my apartment. I got to tell you a couple things. And I know you're going to take it because I've been hearing you talk because I love to teach. So he sits there and he's like, are you familiar with Dahomey, what is now modern day Benin or Benign, whatever? And I was like, yeah, I'm familiar with it. He was like, I'm a descendant of that tribe. He said the type of freedom that you want to have. He was the one who introduced me to the word epistemology. And he had me look it up. He was like, you're an epistemologist, a philosopher. You love knowledge. You love to know. You question systems to understand them so that you can know them, not so that you could buck up against them, things like that. Does that make sense? And so he was like, you are never going to find the freedom that you need to find so long as you still keep listening to slaves. And I didn't get offended when he said that. I asked, what do you mean? He said, have you ever taken into consideration the fact that we didn't give the best and the brightest away? We didn't give the best and the brightest away. We gave away those who could be conquered. So if we captured them, they were weak at some point. We were able to sell them to get things. So then they traveled to America and still haven't had the meeting about how we were able to capture them in the first place. They were so busy focusing on the captors that we sold them to, they didn't consider how they got caught at home. So if they never had, like in the military, we call this an after action review. If they never had an after action review and they're still trying to be king, queen, and then think about it. Everybody's a king. And I'm not saying blacks were the only ones slaves. Y'all missing what I'm saying. Everybody's a king. Everybody's a queen. So not only did you fail to have the meeting, now you're throwing delusion to everybody else that everybody's a king, everybody is a queen, why are you taking away the worth of being an average plebe, a commoner, a blacksmith? Does that make sense? And so he just kept feeding me all this knowledge. And I'm like, yeah, I can see it clear as day. I can see it clear as day. Now everybody's a king, everybody's a queen. So what he's saying is, you never gonna find the freedom. You never gonna find the freedom you need to find still listening to slaves. You got to separate yourself from that culture so that you can learn better things. We might be, yay! Is your name H? Yeah. We might be the descendants of dummies. Like, oh, come on. Oh, does that make sense? Like, oh, come on, right? You think about it. Here we go. There's no manual for parenting, but you live down the street from a library. Josh Johnson, comedian Josh Johnson even said it best. Every revolutionary that the government thought was important took, they wrote a book. The freedom that you need is in a book. The learning that you need to learn is in a book. Knowledge of systems are in books. The intellectual don't necessarily talk about you in social media. They write a book. They have peer-reviewed articles. If you don't read, you don't understand systems. So you're going to still be blind. Yes. And they will call you an Uncle Tom for saying, see, here's this, Israel, right? The black community is very great at pushing those out of the community who actually do become the scientist, the lawyers, the astronauts. Why? Because the more they make fun of you for not wearing Jordans, for not speaking the slang, for not wearing the cool clothes, not having a lot of friends, you actually push them out of the group and they end up attaching to books. They end up attaching to a computer. They end up attaching themselves to smarter people. They attached. Why? Because the dummies pushed you away. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. I'm just saying. Yeah, you got to leave the environment to experience more than life has to offer. Yes. Because if I stay with y'all, I'll be just like you. Yeah, I'll be just like you. And I don't want to be just like you. I mean, I'm kind of like you, but not. Does that make sense? Yeah. And it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate that it's that way. And so your name here. That's a hell of a name. You said traveling is expensive. Not in a book. Not in a book. It's not expensive if you read. Does that make sense? You said you're putting yourself in a mindset to separate yourself permanently without remorse. Good job. Yeah, I agree. I have no remorse. I have no remorse for separating myself from a culture that loves to give its children a struggle to validate their blackness. Yes, I'm fine with that. I'm okay with that. Yes. They not like us. They not like us. Got it. Yes. I get it. I get it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you ask me more questions about history, I mean, right? Yeah. That's your opinion, not based in reality. Got it. Moving on. Here we go. White people are doing that too. Yes. Come on now. Come on. There we go. Yeah, and don't want to be glad and swollen tactical. Yeah, come on. They stopped teaching cursive so you can't read the constitutional rights. Learn cursive so you can read everything. Absolutely, I agree. And in fact, they got books. They got books where you can actually still teach your children cursive. Yes, Jane Smith. Yeah. Yes, Jonathan, come on now. You said, I spent time in Ghana with the Ashanti, and they admit with pride that they sold slaves to the Europeans, and not just to the Europeans, to the Ashantis, to the Europeans were actually some of the next to the last ones to actually come to the coast and get them. They had been selling them before we even get to the transatlantic slave trade. We got the sub-Saharan slave trade. Come on, man. And black folks want to think they were the only ones who were slaves. Talk to the Irish. Slavery is a human condition. There's always somebody conquering the so-called weak. It's moving on. Even Alex Haley said in Roots, it was made up. Kunta Kinte was a made-up story. Oh, man. People don't want to talk about that. Right? I'm just saying. It was fully established trade network before American slave. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Sunday school teacher calling for a national day of fasting and prayer against prejudice and racism on Labor Day. You can pray all you want, but that's not going to change because prejudice and racism are constructs that are part of the human condition. It's not going to change. That's why, see, here we go. I like this. When you look at people wanting to pray for things that are never going to go, God doesn't answer those prayers. He doesn't mess with human will. He doesn't mess with free will. That's not the space he operates in. And I'm not going to get super religious, but I'm just saying that's not the space he operates in. You're just praying to make yourself feel good, to have a reason to go on throughout the day, which is fine. If that's a belief system, good. Go on ahead and go. But it's not gonna do you any good. Oh Lord, give me a sandwich. And it's in the refrigerator. I believe God's got a sense of humor. He said, if you don't get your up and go get that doggone sandwich, while you asking me to make a sandwich that's in the refrigerator, go get that doggone sandwich and freaking eat. That's who I believe God is. Does that make sense? I'm just saying. So I don't want to make this a conversation about slavery. That's not what this was about. This is just us just having a conversation. I love spending time with y'all. I really do. That's why we just go on where we go. Reading equals freedom, self-reliance. Yes. In fact, I said I was going to do the books. The books. I got more books. I got more books, y'all. I got more books. Let's go with the books. The Psychology of High Self-Esteem, a life-changing program for personal growth by Dr. Nathaniel Braden. Okay? Dr. Nathaniel Braden. Love that book. I'm an Adlerian therapeutic epistemological educator, right? I love Alfred Adler. If you look at psychology, they don't talk about Alfred Adler that much. They mention him, but they don't talk about him that much. Why don't they talk about Alfred Adler that much? Because Alfred Adler is teleology. Most psychologists are etiology, looking at causation for your behavior. Alfred Adler is a teleologist. In other words, with this behavior, yes, we can trace the causation, but what are we going to do with this? What are you trying to achieve with this? And does this work? Is it effective? Is it effective? Willie Pittman, are you talking about an Adlerian? You knew, but you had no proof? I don't know what that means. Right. Does that make sense? Right. Here we go. So, Understanding Human Nature by Alfred Adler. Understanding Human Nature by Alfred Adler. Yeah. Understanding Human Nature by Alfred Adler. Now, here we go. Ninja King, DJ Too Fresh. The Irish weren't slaves. They were indentured servants. See, you always got some hotel woke person who wants to say there's a difference between slaves and indentured servants. Not to the person who is an indentured servant. They still see it as a condition of slavery. You see what I'm saying? They always want to, come on now. Jesus Christ. That's why I said I don't talk to those types because, yeah, moving on. Absolutely. Come on. There you go, please. How you know? All right, Moon Rocks, Kick Rocks. Moving on. Here we go. Here's another book. 30 Million Words, Building a Child's Brain by Dr. Dana Susskind. An outstanding book. 30 million words. 30 million words. Beautiful. Woke person, they are literally two different things. Got it. Get back on. Here we go. Get back on track. The Courage to be Disliked by Ishiro Kishimi and Fudikami of Fumitaki Koga. The Courage to be Disliked. A wonderful book. Okay. Here we go. How to Listen with Intention, the foundation of true connection, communication, and relationships. That's another book. Patrick King. Let me see. Learning in Adulthood, The Comprehensive Guide, 4th edition by Sharon Merriam. It's a wonderful book. When the Adults Change, Everything Changes by Paul Dix. Learning How to Learn, How to Succeed in School Without Spending All Your Time Studying, A Guide for Teen and Kids by Dr. Barbara Oakley, Dr. Terrence Sinjowski, and Alistair McConville. You see what I'm saying? It's a lot of great books. A lot of great books. Dude is a coward. No Difference, Pandering 101. Dude is a coward and brushes pushback because he cannot literally defend those. All right, that's fine. Whatever. Make it clap, Mike. That's the only thing I'm making clap. Sorry, I hope you have a really long list. I do. You're putting everything on the block for clout. What does that mean? Marvin Gaye is the man. Yes. So yeah, I got plenty more books on here. Plenty more books. And when you read, you learn. When you read, you learn. No one reads now with Gemini. I don't even know what that is, but maybe I should know what that is. Why A students work for C students and B students work for the government. Rich Dad's Guide to Financial Education for Parents by Robert Kiyosaki. Wonderful book. Tap into mindset that fuels progression. Okay. Another snapshot. Thank you. Need to get that. If you redid your education and training, what sort of field would you choose instead of your current path? That's a great question. I actually like the path. Yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He wrote that book. Wonderful book too. I actually like the path that I'm on now as an early childhood educator. I love that path that I'm on. Now, if you were to ask me what I would do in terms of family, ask me that question. We'll definitely have that discussion. My career path, I want to say in certain cases, your steps can be ordered by God. I do believe that's the case for me. Military, law enforcement, then college professor in criminal justice, all this great stuff, pro cop, only to learn that, shit, a great percentage of the issues we have in society stem from what we've experienced and knew in our early childhood education system. Not just the system at school, but the one at home. Does that make sense? So yeah. Gemini is the new system they put on the websites. Okay. That I'll tell you why, because they know the power of a slave. All right, I guess. They don't call it law help, but law enforcement. You're right, SD. You're right. You're right. He said, how would you educate children with what you know? You got the domains of child development, right? And here we go now, Sunday school teacher. If you know the domains of child development, physical, cognitive, language, social, emotional, and self-help skills, those two were the last two added. Social, emotional. In fact, when you make... Moon Rocks, I got to block your ass. This motherfucker said, seeing you reminds me that black does crack. Fuck you. Moving on. Asshole. That was funny though. Oh my God. Oh shit. It was funny as hell. All right. So you got the domains of child development. I actually believe that teaching children more emotions than descriptive and function is actually too much. It's actually too much. And the reason why it's actually too much is because if you look at the dictionary has, yes, Stitchology. I got an account with Teachers Pay Teachers. Yes. Yes, right? If you look at Oxford Languages, right? 600,000 words in the English language. 171,000, about 640 words are in current usage, of which we use about 3,500 to 5,000 words, and in the dictionary, 2,500 to 3,000 of those words are emotional. So only 1% or a little over 1% of those words are emotional. So if we're front loading children's brains with 1% of the dictionary instead of the other 98 to 99% that are descriptive and functional words, you're making your child more emotional. And then you wonder why emotions are all they see. If you don't understand that during the first 5 years of a child's life is the most important, instead of asking, how do you feel, which is emotions, ask them, what are they feeling, which is sensory. What am I touching? What am I tasting? What am I hearing? What am I seeing? What am I smelling? And what does it mean? How do these systems work? And then if emotion makes sense, it's naturally applied, not taught. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so you're wondering, oh my God, yes, brutally honest, we're confusing children's brains. And it starts in early childhood. Yes, the first 5 years, they're like sponges. Yes, here we go. Metacognition is correct. Golden Dragon, please teach your children how to think, not what to think. This is what to think. How to think is metacognition. Yes. Yes. Metacognition, thinking about thinking. Epistemology, right? How do I know what I know? I think, I check, I learn, I grow. Epistemology. Yes. Does it make sense to add emotion someplace where there is no emotion? Right. And so, how do you feel? Oh, why? That has nothing to do with, do you know how this works? Well, here's this. You can't be aware of self until you're taught about the self, which means you have to be allowed to be selfish. And in our homes, where resources are scarce, and it's not because resources are really scarce, it actually is people having children because they're underprepared. You had a child before you were ready. Well, can you ever be ready? Yeah, you could be ready. Absolutely, you could be ready. Right? For a man, if you look at Erik Erikson's psychosocial theory of development, the period to start a family is actually in generativity versus stagnation, which is between 30 and 64. But when you having children and starting a family in your 20s, you're planting seeds in the wintertime that won't grow right. If you're planting seeds in the wintertime, you're not a gardener because you don't understand gardening. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Well, you said depends on your definition of ready. Okay. So, Dory, what's your definition of ready? I would have loved to have seen your toy box king or kings. I'm only going by his name. Because here's my definition of ready. You said, I teach 4-year-olds multiplication with understanding. Well, I'll say this. Hey, Miss, was it Willinvest? Okay, Miss Willinvest. Here's this. Here's my definition of ready. Have you been taught family and consumer sciences? Have you been taught early childhood education? No, I'm not talking about for a woman. I'm not talking about for a woman. A woman is on a different biological clock for having children than a man. I said a man. Okay. Here we go. Have you been taught family and consumer sciences? Have you been taught early childhood education? Have you been taught family law? Right? Have you at least been taught those 3 things? How long have you been on your job? Are you vested in your job? If you're not invested in your job or vested in your job, you don't even have enough money to start a family. How much money does it cost to raise a child? You said teach the Bible, integrity. Nope. The Bible can be one of your books that you reference. But here we go. The Bible, unfortunately, is a bunch of warnings, but no lesson plan. Show me the lesson plans in the Bible. You don't want to have this conversation because as a theologian, here we go. You don't want to have that conversation. See, we can talk about train up a child in the way that he should go so that when he is old, he will not depart from it. But does it tell you how to train them? Right? Train them up in the admonition of the Lord. Got it. How do we do that? How do we do that? Show me in the Bible where it says how we do that. Train through love. What does that mean? What does that mean? Come on now. What's the domains of child development? Physical, cognitive, language. How do you teach CVC words in the Bible? How do you teach phonological awareness in the Bible? Are there any recipes for cooking in the Bible? Come on now. You see, you wanted to go down this rabbit hole. You were the one who mentioned the Bible. Teach them God's law. Are there cooking recipes in the Bible? Come on now. Come on. Power without prescription is meaningless. You see what I'm saying? You got a bunch of warnings. No lesson plans. Bro thinks he's a philosopher. 7.62. I'm going to send you to the range. I'm going to put you out this room so you can go to the range. Well, Dory, you said yes. I saw you say yes multiple times, but you didn't. You said Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, the teachings of Christ. Give me a scripture, book, chapter, verse of a recipe. Thank you. You've never seen a recipe in the Bible. Come on, Sunday school teacher. Come on, Sunday school teacher. Book, chapter, verse. Give me a recipe that's in the Bible. That's not what I asked Miss Mary 2010. I'm talking about a recipe. Because in family and consumer sciences, somebody needs to know how to prepare meals. We saw the 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread, right? That's one recipe. I'll give you that. 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. Ezekiel 4:9. Come on, because I'm willing to be, here we go. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. See, there's this difference between wanting to be right and willing to be wrong. Both can live in the same house. Here we go. Ezekiel 4:9. Take wheat, barley, beans, and lentils, millet and spelt. Put them in a storage jar and use them. Hold on. And here we go. Take wheat, barley, beans, and lentils, millet and spelt. Put them in a storage jar and use them to make bread for yourself. You are to eat it during the 390 days you lie on your side. It does not say how to make that bread. Hold on. Here we go. It does not say how to make that bread. Give me the next part. Give me the next part. Come on. Come on now. Come on. Give me the next part. Come on. Okay. That's halfway. That's the recipe, right? Give me the next part. You said Ezekiel 23:20. I'm willing to learn. Y'all could be teaching me some stuff here. Come on. If you don't ask those questions where people want to prove it, you'll never know. Here we go. Boy, that's not a recipe. I'm glad I read that shit. That is not a recipe. I don't like y'all. That's not a recipe. That is not a recipe. I mean, I got it 13 months, right? But that's still not a recipe. Talking about some keep reading, it might show up. Numbers 11:31. Come on now. I'm willing to be wrong, y'all. This is not a fight. I'm not fighting y'all. I'm willing to be wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. 11:31. Now a wind went out from the Lord and drove quail from the sea. It scattered them up to two culprits. That's not a recipe. That's not a recipe. Even in the English Standard Version, that's not a recipe. Moving on. Yeah, you said that, not a food recipe. Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't read the rest of what you said. Hold on. The Bible was written long ago. It's unfair to expect it to answer questions that deal with 21st century issues. You're correct. You're correct. You're correct. You are correct. Yes. So that's what I'm saying. Didn't I say the Bible can be a reference, but not the sole book? Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? I said that. Train up a child in the way that he should go, so when he is old, he will not depart from it. Yes, Sanaka, hope I'm saying that. But cooking isn't a 20th century issue, though. Yes. Yes, there we go. Train up a child in the way that he should go, so that when he is old, he will not depart from it. Right? But it doesn't tell you how to train up that child. Does that make sense? Hold on. Making bread is as easy as putting on your sandals. Imagine telling that to a child, and the child's still like, okay, how do we do this? How do we do this? Does that make sense? So why am I talking about cooking with the Bible? Because eating, you got to eat, right? Proverbs 23:19. See, some of y'all just got in, so you don't understand why we're doing the stuff. We're talking about the stuff that we're talking about. So you got to be here and just catch on, or, have a great day. I don't want to send you on your way, but you get what I'm saying. You kind of walked into class late. You got to be here on time. What'd you say? Making bread is easy and girding your loins. Oh, yeah, it gives directions with no instructions. Come on now. Hold on, here we go. I knew some parent was going to pull out it's a reference. It's a reference, right? It's a reference book, but it's not the sole thing, right? It's not the main thing. Listen, my son, and be wise and set your heart on the right path. What does that mean to a child whose ears are developed after they are heard first? Does that make sense? You said, if you lack wisdom, ask God. That's not... No, Sunday school teacher, no. I love you. I promise I do, right? She's like, you don't know me. Then you don't know the 7 types of love. I don't have to know you to love you. I just have to love humanity. That's philia. That's love in the Greek, right? Love you. Here we go. Sunday school teacher, if you lack wisdom, you don't ask God. You know why? Because somebody asked God already. You think your prayer is going to be unique? Somebody already asked God. And God made man, who then made theories and then made books for you to read. That's why God won't answer that prayer. God won't answer that prayer because it's already been answered in a book. So God is out of the office for that one. Why does he need to answer that one, right? Wisdom is defined in the dictionary as the quality of being wise by having knowledge, experience, and good judgment. In Proverbs, it says wisdom is the principal thing. And in all thy getting, get an understanding. Wisdom is the principal thing that you want. Knowledge, experience, and good judgment. Hold on, seriously? You would think I would depend on others for my answers? Who taught you to be a Sunday school teacher? You had to get qualified by a human instructor to teach you. Oh, stop lying. Wisdom in God. Stop lying. Stop lying. You serve under a pastor. You're a Sunday school teacher in a church that has a pastor. Come on. You just don't want to be honest. You're serving under someone. It's called servant leadership. I'm just saying. Yeah, does that make sense? Okay, you just lost credibility with me. I wasn't looking to you to be credentialized. So I don't care whether I lose credibility with you. I don't care. What does that mean? What does that mean? I don't really care. Who are you? Moving on. Yeah, it's called Sunday service for a reason. It has to be taught. I'm just saying. So no, this was not a conversation about getting into religion. That's not where I'm taking this. That's not where I'm taking this. Where I'm taking this is, right, the Bible is a reference, but you need more. Did y'all understand what I was saying? That's all that I was saying. That's all that I was saying. That was the main point. The main point, right? Not denying the Bible at all. The main point. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It needs scaffolding. You need more. Train up a child in the way that he should go so that when he is old, he would not depart from it. How do you do that? Well, you don't go to the Bible to do that because you need to learn about the science of children and why children do what they do and physical domains, cognitive, language. If you want, social, emotional. Got it. Right? Let's just stick to physical, cognitive, and language. Teach them how to speak, how to read, right? Teach them how things work. Teach them about systems, give them freedom within boundaries. There's a variety of different things. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And then you've trained them in the way that they should go. Doesn't mean they will go. You train them in the way they should go. Well, who are you to determine what is the right path or not? See, that's why you get mismarried. No disrespect to you, right? But when you say morally the right path, right or wrong is subjective. Who are you to determine what is right or wrong? How do you know that your way is in fact the right way? You could have been miseducated. And now you're miseducating from your miseducation, which is literally the blind leading the blind. How do you know that your interpretation of the Bible is in fact the interpretation? Or is it your perception, which is just assumption dressed in a tuxedo? How do you know that you're... Okay, so let's go there. Let's go there. Let's go there. Here we go. Black folks don't like slavery. Ephesians 6:5. Slaves, obey your earthly masters. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Come on. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Come on. I'm waiting. Come on now. I'm waiting. So are we saying slavery is not of God? Come on now. It's in the Bible. It's in... I'm waiting. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Slavery was immoral. Ephesians 6:5. Slaves, obey your earthly masters. I'm waiting. Come on now. Dylan, you got a point. You got a point. I'll deny the Bible for you. I don't think the Bible is a good reference for morality. Could we talk about something else? Hey, you got a point. Why? I believe the Bible is an anthology. It's a collection of humans' stories of their experiences in religion, but God didn't write one word. Is it fair to say that the Bible is a human construct? Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. He didn't write not one word. It says it in the beginning. In the beginning, God created. It didn't say I created. It said God created. That's someone telling a story. That's third. Here we go. Third person. Third person. It's an anthology. Look it up. We're going to land on this, but it's an anthology. It's a collection of other people's perspectives. I'm just saying, right? Oh, no. See, here we go. Please, I'm not saying that there isn't truth in there. I'm not saying that at all. I am not saying that at all, right? I'm just saying you gotta have wisdom. No, we're not having Bible study, Art. I'm done. I don't want y'all to get mad because religion is a touchy subject, right? Because now you're talking about belief systems, right? I'm just saying, right? You got to understand which ones to, right? Because black parents love the, right? Black Bible stud. Wait a minute, hold on. The very fact you call yourself stud and then put that next to Bible is diabolical. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, the Bible stud. Here we go. Bible stud. What makes you a stud with the Bible? Are you trying to get Mary Magdalene or the other Mary? Stud. Isn't that gluttonous? How do I thumbs down this? Well, let me send you out of here so you don't have to thumbs down this. There we go. Bam, I just blocked you. Blocking is one of my favorite past and present times. All right, Bible stud, go read. Hold on. Bible stud, let me send you to your prayer closet. Blocked. Let's see. Hold on. If the Bible stud could come back in, maybe he is God. Okay. Let's get off that. I won't block you. Hell no, I'm not blocking you. No, roots and reboots. No, you're good. Yeah, send him on his way. See, Sunday school teacher and I had a back and forth, but I value being wrong. I'm willing to be wrong. That's how I learn. Okay, we off the Bible. I didn't mean to make this a religious thing. We were talking about children being trained, and that's where we got. All right, JG, I'm not willing to be wrong. Let me send you on out of here too. Bye. My thoughts on a traffic stop are, even though it isn't illegal to open the door, step out. Don't. It's unusual. It can be used as a factor against you. Yeah, and the cop asking for it. Yeah, you're right. Here you go. This was about kids. Yeah, this was about kids. That's all it was. I stopped. I'm done. I appreciate y'all being here. You said this is an educational debate I didn't know I needed. Yeah, it's all good. I love spending time with y'all. I haven't talked to y'all in a while. So yeah, it was about the kids. Yeah. You said, while I appreciate the Bible talk, at the end of the day, it's a touchy subject and was a detour. Yeah, okay, we can go there. Yeah, I mean, I still connected it. How old do you have to be to join your classes? At 18, at least at a minimum. I'm wrong most of the time. I could always be more accurate. Yeah, Dylan, you're right. I agree. I haven't talked to y'all live in a minute, though. You said my wife says hi, Mike. Hey, what's going on? Great conversation. Love the energy. Yeah, it's all good, Blaze. Thank you. Likewise, man. I love that you aren't fighting with people. It's what debate of differences of opinions are about. Yeah, see, the thing is, I had to come to that. That wasn't something that I always did. I used to love to prove myself right. Does that make sense? And I came to the realization, epistemologically, that it is so psychologically liberating to be okay with people being wrong, that people have a right to be wrong. And that's okay, because you get into unnecessary conflict defending what you know to be true. Because then you're getting into a boxing match with someone who's trying to prove to be right in their being wrong. That is so stressful. And then at the end of the day, you're still where you began. So if we begin with the end in mind, right? If we begin with the end in mind, if I know a person persuaded against their will is of the same opinion still, let's not argue with them. Let's let them be wrong and be psychologically okay with them being wrong. Not everyone is your client. Not everyone is your student. And you are actually getting in the way of someone else who is going to make money off of their ignorance. Let me not stop. If I am for America and I am for job creation, don't get in the way of someone who's going to make money off that person's ignorance. That's a job. USA, USA. Does that make sense? I'm not going to get in the way of that. No, let them be wrong, right? Yeah. Yes. Mama swindle. Yes. And a lot of times what people know to be true, right, might have been taught to them incorrectly. Yes. Yeah, absolutely correct. Yes, you said as an IT specialist, idiots keep me employed. Yes. Yes, thank you. I love this shirt. This is 9-line, middle-aged tactical turtles. Love it. Yeah, it keeps people employed. When people don't know about the law, guess who keeps a job? Lawyers. Lawyers then become judges. Judges then become appellate justices. Then they could become Supreme Court. You see what I'm saying? There's an evolution from ignorance. Ignorance employs a lot of people. Yeah, for sure. I'd rather be wrong but have a chance to grow than be right but never know for sure if I'm right. Or worse, be wrong but think I'm right. Think for certain I'm right. Yeah, I agree. This thought process, nope, I'm not saying that. Nope. You said this thought process is how we ended up with the current administration. All right, whatever. You said Chat GPT is taking lawyers' jobs soon. Yes, it is. Chat GPT, yes, it absolutely is. AI is going to do that. Yes, for sure. People, well, here's this. Nope. I don't know about that. You could have the law. You could have knowledge of systems and not have the practice of knowing how to use that knowledge under pressure in a real court. Does that make sense? Like knowledge, see, that's why we say wisdom is the principal thing. Not going to get to the Bible, but I'm just going to say wisdom, right? Wisdom is not just knowledge, right? Epistemology is great, right? Knowledge, but knowledge, experience, and good judgment. You don't get good judgment from just knowledge. You get knowledge, you get good judgment by the practice of the thing you know. So you can find out how this thing applies under pressure. You said AI doesn't feel this under pressure you speak of. Yes, I agree. AI doesn't feel that pressure. And so when you try to take these things you've learned, these statutes that you've looked up, and you don't understand trial practice, how to introduce things into evidence, how to serve notices of motion upon the state and the opposing parties, when you don't understand family law. And I'm going to give you, come on now, let's have that conversation. Let's talk marriage. Let's talk marriage. Let's talk marriage. When you don't understand prenuptial, postnuptial, cohabitation agreements, separation agreements, when you don't understand Title 4D of the Social Security Act enforces child support, right? You're correct. Wisdom is how you use the knowledge. See, Sunday school teacher, I'm coming to your Sunday school. I want to learn, right? When you don't understand these things. You see what I'm saying? Then you go in with your chat GPT stuff. Yes, now I agree. Chat GPT will be a great tool for lawyers that will ease up the work of paralegals on case studies. I agree 100%. You are 1,000% correct. Yes, 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 yes. It has its limitations, but you are correct. Yes, I agree. AI could help, but I don't know if it'll replace. That's a strong thing right there. You see what I'm saying? But you got to learn how to use these things. So here we go. We're talking about marriage, right? In talking about marriage, you may not understand that. I'm gonna give some wisdom here. I'm gonna give some wisdom. Here we go. You should be careful of what you talk about to your significant other. Because what you say to them when you're in love is evidence in family court. Why? Because family courts are not necessarily courts of law entirely. It is a court of equity. Equity doesn't mean equal. Equity means fairness, and fairness is subjective. Marriage is a contract. It is treated like a contract in court. And just like you would withhold information from employees based on their need to know, you may need to hold or withhold information from your significant other. They may not be the best person to vent to. And I know you're in love. I know you're in love. I know you're in love. But that conversation that you said while you were in love can be used in a court of equity when it comes down to the division of property, assets. Come on now. I'm just saying. I'm just giving you a little bit of extra wisdom. Just giving you a little bit. Oh man, I thought you was going to keep that a secret. Not when you're going through a divorce. Does that make sense? I'm just saying. Maybe that was too much. Maybe that was too much. You said, what do you mean I don't get half when I marry a man and then divorce him immediately? Well, yeah, because you didn't get a prenup. And you can't just leave her without anything outright. The court is not going to let you leave her with nothing, because then she'll become a public charge. Yeah. Which means the public would have to take care of her, and the courts are not going to allow that. You're going to give her something. You're going to give her something. And the courts are going to make you. I agree, but the way you set up a contract with your partner, I set up mine where I talk about everything. Well, there's a difference, and you can't leave him with nothing either. I agree. See, there's a difference between talking about everything with her and then defining what is this everything. Does that make sense? Talking about everything with her, but what is this everything? If it's about the business of the marriage, outstanding. But should you vent to her or him about all of your problems at work, your feelings with other people, your feelings about them in certain cases, you better have somebody else who can't be subpoenaed. Because trust me, she gonna use everything that you said against you. And her mind is never more sharp than when she's mad at you. You see, you said we need less court involvement in relations as they are the reason for the current state of affairs. Yeah, that's probably one of the reasons why. Sunday school teacher, look at you blowing that wisdom out of the water. I love it. You never talk about everything. Married 50 years plus. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for your wisdom. Yes. Yes. Thank you for your wisdom. See? That's wisdom right there. You never talk about everything with that person because that person, hey, you never know. You never know. You said my friend is going through it in the divorce filings, but she deserves to be divorced. Yeah. You said seatbelt laws are stupid when motorcycles are illegal. Well, first of all, if you know anything about mala in se versus mala prohibitum, seatbelt laws are mala prohibitum. The crime is not bad in of itself. Seatbelt laws are made because society determined that that should be a crime. So, yeah, you got a point. I mean, you know, seatbelt laws are stupid when I just said that already. Are you an attorney? No, I'm not an attorney. I'm a criminal justice lecturer, professor, anger management specialist, emotional management specialist, parenting educator, force science analyst, former cop, former military, firearms instructor. I got a lot of early childhood educator. I got a lot of qualifications under my belt. Yeah. Got a lot of things that I do. So no, I'm not an attorney. I've gone through 7 years plus of schooling, but not with a Juris Doctorate. So no. I'm 58. And there are some things that I'll take to my grave, not because they're all bad, but because it's nobody's business. Yeah, absolutely. Thoughts on Trump v. U.S.? No comment. Today, there are your best friends. Tomorrow, there are your worst enemy. Marriage is no different. Stay vigilant. Absolutely. Also, while motorcycles are more dangerous, they can dodge and avoid danger easier. Cars are sitting ducks, so seatbelts can save lives. Yeah. I've been in traffic crashes where a seatbelt has definitely saved my life. Been on a pursuit. Flipped over the embankment, hit the guardrail, smacked into a tree, and the seatbelt kept me in the car. Yep. So you can damn near be anything you want. What does that mean? Surviving behind liberal lines. Thank you for your service. Nobody really thanks us veterans, but they expect military to keep them safe. Military is a thankless job. Yep. Agreed. Remind me of my NCO at leadership school. Hated education until he hooked his first degree and then just started stacking them. Facts. Bro, I am a college head. I will forever be in college until I die or until I can't perform in college. I will forever be taking classes. Yes. Drinking and driving used to be legal. That's almost the same argument. Yep, I agree. Seatbelts have saved me twice already. They are for sure needed. Yes. I was working overtime, got off work, went working at the state corrections facility, fell asleep at the road, woke up, hit the back of a truck, pow, dodge neon, flipped the car once, rolled twice, and while the car was spinning and it stopped, I was upside down in my seatbelt. Got out that seatbelt, got out that car. Seatbelt saved me from being ejected. Yep. Losing weight, looking healthy. Yes. I feel like thank you for your service is definitely a thing that people say. Yeah, but you know what? When people say thank you for your service, I say thank you for your support. Because one, you kind of didn't ask me to serve. I chose to. And then two, thank you for your support. Because without the support of the American people, you get what I'm saying? So it's reciprocal. And I learned that from a lieutenant. A lieutenant told me one of the best things that you could say is don't say you're welcome. Because it kind of, thank you for your service. You're welcome. They didn't ask you to serve. What the fuck? Thank you for your support. You see what I'm saying? And so it's reciprocal. And ever since then, I've been going with thank you for your support as the response. And I love that. It's very humble to say that. Yeah. That's just my thought. Whatever. You do what you want. People that really think seatbelts should be mandated are what's wrong with this country. It's unconstitutional. So it's 99% of traffic law. Okay, cool. What do you think about carrying in states that don't allow firearms? You're taking a risk. It's up to you whether you decide you want that risk is worth the reward. I'll leave it there. I'm totally trying that. Yeah, thank you for your support. It's very humbling. Because first of all, you are not entitled to any compliment. So if a person sees you and thanks you for that, it's valuable. It's valuable. It has value. They see the worth in that. Even if you think they're taught to say it, whatever, right? You know, thank you for your support. Yeah. So yeah. Sure. And roller coasters should not have restraints either. Yeah. I'm putting on that restraint on that roller coaster. I'm not about to fall out. And I love roller coasters. I love skydiving. Restraints are here. Oh, God. I'm conflicted on seatbelts. My niece was ejected from the car, but in the accident report, they said if anyone in the car wore a seatbelt, they wouldn't have survived. That's a thing, too. You're not wrong. That's a thing. Seatbelts can be the entrapment. That's a thing. So I get it. Yeah. Yeah. But it saved my life twice. Yeah. So I wear a seatbelt every time I can. Whew. We get it, Misfit. I got it. Thank you. Carl goes 0 to 60 and how fast? Faster than most coasters. Yeah. And you're right, Name. That's a thing, but it's very rare. Not the kind of thing I thought I'd find on YouTube today, but I'm here for it. Thank you, Mama Swindle. I'm glad you're still here. Texas is the best state to carry. I agree. Not the only one, but yeah, I agree. Roller coasters are scary already. Nah, I need my seatbelt ASAP. No way I'm getting on without it, for sure. Especially, I love riding roller coasters. But without that seatbelt, you better be prepared to fly out, fly out of it, for sure. Texas is also one of the worst states. For certain things, I will agree. Well, the odds of survival are 70%-ish with a seatbelt. I agree. That's why I keep wearing it. I'm from Mexico, and I love your interactions with the police, sir. Thank you. Yep, they're just out there doing a job. You don't know which type of officer you're going to get, so I'm able to deal with both if I get them, you know, and I'm not about to sit there and resist. I ain't got time for that shit. I ain't got time. I ain't got time. I just don't have time for it. And I've been pulled over a lot, mostly because I caused it, and sometimes it just happened to be in the area and stuff happens. I've done the job, so I understand what that is, what it comes with, all that stuff. I'm just... Phantom! The P320 is a menace to society. I got the P320 X Compact. I do not carry it. I used to carry it. I don't carry it. I got the CZP-10C. Look, I'm not trusting my life with that firearm. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. You said, am I a Democratic voter? Then stop crying. This is what you want, an unqualified female who's instantly becoming afraid because she happened upon DWB. I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what you're saying. I know what DWB means, but I don't know what you're referencing. So what about masked ICE agents? I'm with it. They have an ugly job they have to do. They're following orders. And I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there. I'm in Chicago. I'm in a welcoming city. That doesn't mean that I agree. I mean, I'm going to lose you on some of this, and that's fine. Yeah, it's a broken system that just needs to be fixed. It's like, give us you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry, you're this, you're that. Got it. Nation of immigrants, got it. Native Americans, got it. Starting wars to keep American imperialism, got it. Student of history, got it. Does that make sense? Like, got it. I got it. I got it. I got it. We're all but shadows and dust. Got it. You know? Yeah, I got it. I still get nervous about jumping into a roller coaster. You speak like a Gen X. Am I a Gen X? I think I'm a millennial. I was born in 81. I just turned 44, so I don't know. Am I a millennial? Yeah. They're targeting innocent families, Mike. That happens. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying I don't know. Okay, let's have that conversation. I don't know how you prevent targeting innocent families when they're going off of, I'm a first-year millennial. Okay. So I don't know how you avoid targeting innocent families when there really is no outright compliance when approached by ICE agents so they can ask questions to determine who you are. You see what I'm saying? When they're expected to be met with resistance that they know is coming, and there are some people who should not be here who don't want to be caught. How do you not catch innocent people in the process? I don't know. I'm just asking questions. Yeah, you said just comply. Yeah, and just remember when December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. And that's a whole nother conversation, right? That's a whole nother conversation, right? When the Imperial Japanese Navy attacked Pearl Harbor, what did America do? Didn't they round up all of the Japanese people and put them in a level of internment camps? Does that make sense? I'm not saying does that make sense. I'm talking about what happened during that time. Did they catch innocent people in those internment camps as well? Yeah, you said that's what happens in war. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? And so here we go. If we're going to talk about that December 7th conversation, then let's talk about this. FDR knew it was going to happen. FDR knew it was going to happen. Franklin Delano Roosevelt knew that Pearl Harbor was going to be attacked. And in fact, put the Pacific Fleet in the crosshairs to be attacked. You said they made it happen by blocking their ability to get oil. All Leviticus, they did way more than that. That's one of the ways. Yeah, but they did way more than that. Way more than that. Let's have that conversation. So there was no Pacific Fleet and Atlantic Fleet. Same with 9/11, allegedly. Yes, yes. There was no Pacific Fleet and Atlantic Fleet then. There was just fleets. But then, when you had Admiral James O. Richardson, the fleet was in Hawaii conducting exercises. Franklin Delano Roosevelt wanted to station the newly created Pacific Fleet off of the Pacific coast near California and leave them permanently stationed in Hawaii. Admiral James O. Richardson was against it. He said it would put them in the direct crosshairs of the Japanese. Guess what happened? He got fired. He lost his career just like that. And who did they make the commander of the Pacific Fleet? The newly created Pacific Fleet. Rear Admiral Husband Kimmel. So they went over more qualified admirals, because the more qualified admirals would have did the same thing that James O. Richardson did. They went with an idiot. Let's call a spade a spade. Just because you make rank don't mean you intelligent, right? Just imagine being a one-star admiral, getting command of your own newly created fleet, and you're jumping 3 stars? I get to be full admiral? Yeah, I'm taking that shit. But he didn't know he was going to be the fall guy for when it went bad. Because FDR wanted to get into the war. And those people who are talking about Trump and the MAGA, Make America Great Again, that wasn't the first America First campaign. There was an America First campaign in the 1940s to keep us out of European war or European wars. Henry Ford was a part of it. Who was the other person? I want to say, I can't think of the name. Henry Ford was definitely a part of it. And what happened? What happened, right? The Pacific Fleet was permanently stationed in Pearl Harbor. They knew about the Japanese intercepts. They knew the vacancy. The vacancy became vacant because they issued orders to keep all of the merchant ships that was traveling in that area, keep them out of that area. Just like how Trump renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, they renamed that area the Vacant Sea, so that Japan would have a clear passageway and would not be spotted by commercial merchant ships. The so-called radio silence wasn't radio silence. They were talking during that time, communicating with Admiral Hiroku Yamamoto. They weren't silent. And the code breakers caught those intercepts. They knew the Japanese were coming and did not tell Admiral Kimmel or General Martin Short. FDR needed a reason to get into the war. He sacrificed those lives at Pearl Harbor to get us into the war. He knew it was happening. He knew it. Yeah. Yep. I'm just saying. Early 9/11, yep. I mean, you think about it, right? Saddam Hussein, the U.S. funded Saddam Hussein and then later deposed him. The U.S. funded Osama bin Laden in his war against the Russians in Afghanistan. Later, destroyed him. Come on, man. If only we were taught to be history students before we joined the military, would recruiting be hard? Don't get me wrong. I am a patriot through and through. I am all about defending America against attacks that we did not cause. But we caused everything? Think about how this country was founded. What did Mark Twain say? Loyalty to your country always, but to your government when it deserves it. Come on now. You can still say I'm proud to be an American, but you're not blind about how the shit got started. Oh, right? Two things can be true. Multiple things can be true at the same time. Because I don't know what other country I'm going to go to when we go to Africa. I'm going to knock on Africa's door. Hello, I am your brother. I am home. I am home. What the fuck? What are they going to say to me when I come to the welcome home, my babu? What are they going to say? Brother, you're back. We've been missing you. Oh, hello, cast off your American imperialism. You are home. And then all of a sudden, what am I going to do? That's not funny, but it is. I don't know anything else. So I'm going to stay my ass here. I don't know what my tribal name would be. Kuntuve. What does that mean? Missing tooth. Fuck. I wouldn't know. I don't even know if I would want that name. You want to cast off your slave name. Click, click, Mike. Click, click, Mike. That would be... I don't know. I'd be so behind the curve. So I'm going to stay my ass here. You say you got coffee all over your desk. I'm sorry. That wasn't too bad of an impression, right? Mikobu. I'm gonna stay my ass right here. Yeah, I mean, you said stuff like this is why they don't like us. That's not why. That's not why they don't like us. Mama Swindle, you having too much fun. That's not why they don't like us. They don't like us because we keep using racism as a calling card for things that may not be racist. Does that make sense? Like, this isn't racism, this is systems. Why is it if everybody else can read a book, why can't you? That's why they don't like us. You see what I'm saying? Like, two things can be true. A person can be really racist and not want physical harm to be done to you. Come on now, let's have that conversation. Not every racist wants to take your life. And if you ask them, well, what don't you like about black folks? You might find that you probably have the same feelings they may have. Like, have you ever truly asked a real racist, without getting offended, because offense is taught, have you ever really asked a real racist, what don't you like? And here we go. You don't have to answer this question, but what don't you like about black people? And then if they're like, listen, buddy, I don't like the fact that you guys are taking each other's lives. You're violent in your neighborhoods. You might be like, yeah, I don't go in those areas either. All right, we got something in common. I don't like the fact that you speak your Ebonics, but I can't complain because I speak my stuff. And I'll be like, you got a point. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Oh, here we go. Right? They think they are above us with no tests. I don't know what that means. Say it again because I want to understand what you're saying. You said, I like this new term around. People are throwing around call fatigue. I'm with that too. I'm with that too. Because I am tired. You like the Chappelle Show skit with the blind black, Klansman. You talk about Clayton Bigsby. Listen, buddy, how much time do you have? Good for nothing swindlers, big butt, having wide nose, breathing all the... Some of that stuff is stupid. But I'm just saying, right? These type of conversations, like you said, are needed. Jasper, there's it. Yes. Oh my God, that was a crazy skit. But it's like, if you think about it, the gangs of New York, what did the bourgeoisie say when they were, I believe, playing pool? Right? If you look at most police officers, what economical class, lower, middle, or upper class, do most police officers belong to? They may start out in lower or lower middle, and the police salary may elevate them to middle, or upper middle, right? But if you take that away, they are the working class, and they may fall to the lower class, because we got to be honest, some of these police salaries give you a bump up. So when certain police officers are defending culture, they're actually defending their paycheck. They're defending their identity. Does that make sense? Oh, come on. What did the bourgeoisie say during the movie, The Gangs of New York? Oh, we'll just pit one half of the class against the other half. So when you get these fights of civilian versus police, guess who's looking down saying, yes, this is what we want. It feeds the algorithm. It pays more people when police and the citizens are in conflict. Come on now. Who gets paid when police and citizens are in conflict. This is why I said if I was to ever go back into law enforcement, right? If I was to ever go back into law enforcement, it would have to be in a community. Oh, magic. Oh, Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. They love it. Hi, my name is Attorney Benjamin Crump, and I would like to say that this situation is very racist. It's very racist, and that boy his life could have been taken. And you have to understand, we're going to stand up for America, and we're going to stand up for this black boy who, by the way, had the right to assert his right to be free from he has never taken any of his cases to trial. He's the Robert Shapiro of civil rights. Spot the lie. He's the Robert Shapiro of civil rights. He has never taken any of his cases to trial. It's always straight to settlement. He's not a trial lawyer. You said I met Jesse Jackson when I was working at the airport. He wanted me to hold the flight for him. Didn't happen. Look, I think Jesse Jackson killed Martin Luther King. You knew exactly what a sniper fired. If you seen that picture, Jesse Jackson and the rest of them on the balcony is pointing exactly where that shot came from. Was Jesse Jackson the first shot spotter? And then Jesse Jackson puts his hands on King as the heir apparent to the civil rights movement. Come on, we're not ready to have that conversation. If you go to the Rainbow Push Coalition, guess what Jesse Jackson has in that center? The balcony where King was shot. The balcony where King was shot. Why would you put the balcony where King was shot in your center? Is that the moment of coronation? Is that your moment of coronation? Is that your moment of coronation where you are now dubbed the heir apparent? I'm just saying. It's a trophy for him. Come on now. Say what you want. Say what you want. Say what you want. The ones closer to you will do you faster than strangers because they know you. They know you. Come on now. They know exactly where you're going to be for the perfect shot. And they know where to point. Come on now. Heir apparent. Come on. That's a tough one to stomach. See, only an epistemologist would be free to say that, yeah, okay, Jesse did some great works. He did some great works. But he still got King killed. Oh, come on now. Come on now. Like deep thinkers, Einstein. How many times was Einstein's theories rejected? Come on now. Demons don't hang out in bars. They swarm in churches and places of power. John H., great work for his family and tight friends. Yes. Oh, come on now. You said my black people got the conspiracy theories too. I'm not the only person who's black who's got this, and I don't even consider myself black. That's a social construct. Race. I'm brown. I'm classified as black, but I'm just me. But I get what you're saying. I ain't the only person who had his theory. There's a lot of black people who think that Jesse got King killed. Come on now. Yeah, he did. I'm just saying. So if you think Ben Crump is really, if you think that Ben Crump is really for justice, if he was really for justice, he'd take the case to trial. He'd go to depositions, because that's when you get them on the record for saying the things that they said. That's when you actually make the change that gets police to reform. But Ben Crump doesn't want police to reform. Because as long as you fall victim to racist attacks and you don't understand the law, you'll keep coming and retaining my firm, and then I can fight for you for what you don't know for yourself. I can fight for you. I can fight for you because you don't know for yourself. You just don't know. You said before I turn in for the night, I'm about to get off too. Before I turn in for the night, pick the right duty weapon, 17 of the M4A4. I would say 17. Are you saying M9A4? I would say 17X. You mean 19X? No, 17X. You mean a 19X. I would say 19X. 19X. Yeah, 19X. I mean, you're talking about inside the home. I mean, if people say M4, but you got to have distance to be able to, traverse those corners and stuff like that. If you know how to use it, then yeah. But I would say 19. I would say 19X. That would be me though, Yeah. All right. Let me get out of here. I missed a bunch of phone calls. Going to get stuff. All right. I got a bunch of stuff to do. What's a good small on person for a woman to keep on her? Bodyguard 2.0. Bodyguard 2.0 is a good pew pew. Right. I fumbled, but I mean the Glock does have a lot of extra aftermarket. Yeah. And you can customize the M4 too. There's a lot of aftermarket manufacturers. I think Glock, yeah, thank you, Lamp Sticker. I appreciate that. And y'all been hanging tight. The likes got up to 168, 160. Yeah, sorry about that. Call was coming through. People don't understand when you don't answer the phone. Leave a voicemail. Let me get up out of here. I'll see y'all.